We are one in the Spirit. Today the topic is the power of unity of heart. So thank you for picking that song. So yeah, on Monday we had a prayer meeting, and it was me, Tim, and Ron, and we were, you've heard me talk about the prayer meetings a lot, but it was another good prayer meeting, and I had an opportunity to hear testimony from Tim and Ron both, and it was really, it was really inspiring, really moving. So I just really felt inspired and called. Let's invite them to share today with everybody. So, and I know God also speaks, not just through the same person. Maybe sometimes you don't hear God through me, but I hope that today you'll hear God through Tim and Ron as they speak. So yeah, please open your heart and mind, and let's welcome up. Maybe Tim, could you start? All right, let's give Tim a round of applause.
So the testimony I'm about to give, some of you may have heard it before, but it was a very powerful and I would say kind of a dramatic moment in my life, the faith at that time. I joined in 1976, and at that time, I think it was up to 1981, Home Church Providence started around that time. And when Father first talked about home church, he was just on fire. He was just so excited about home church. Because Mr. Sawada-san, who was living in New York Church at the time, had a dream of people living and teaching in people's homes. That was the concept of home church. So areas were divided up. There was like 360 homes that everybody had. And I went to a Brooklyn church. At that time, Brooklyn was like the start, actually, of the first Home Church Providence. And we worked in church. We went to our 360 homes every day, knocked on doors, and tried to greet people and offer our support, our help, and so forth. But at a certain point, there was this big push for us to find a place to live in our home church area. And nobody was having any success. So I thought, well, I'm going to determine I'm going to be successful no matter what. So in those days, as Ron and John and some of us, we did some pretty crazy stuff. And I decided, well, I am going to go out there in my home church area, and I am not going to come back until I find a place to live in my home church area. You keep in mind, knocking on all these doors, some people wouldn't even open up their door to me, I had very few contacts at that point. It was pretty tough going. So anyway, I determined that I was going to fast until I found my place to live. Okay, so I made my determination, and it just so happened to be in February, and I walked out the door. Everybody in the church center knew what I was doing. And later, some people thought I was really crazy, But I walked out, and the worst possible thing happened to me. The thing that I hate the most. It was cold, and it was raining. Cold, freezing winter rain at 11 o'clock at night. So here I go. I go out there. By the time I got to the end of the block, I was soaked to the bone, and so I said, man, I got to get into my home church area fast. So I guess I walked, or if not run, to my home church area. And I had a plan. In my home church area, there's this really big apartment complex, and with Spanish and Haitian people, and you could just go right in there, and I was going to go all the way up to the top, and where the stairwell was, and I was going to sleep up there. That's my great plan. So here I go, and I race up to the door, grab the door, and for some reason it won't open. The door was locked. And there was no place to go. He said, maybe go back to the church center. So I said, no, I'm not going to do that. So this was a defining moment, you know. So all I could think is I have to really pray deeply. And I did, and I walked around my area continually, all night long, in the freezing rain. My teeth, I was so cold, my teeth were chattering, I couldn't keep my teeth from chattering. And then in the morning time, the sun rose, and it was like so glorious, you know. It was like, oh my God, you know, the warmth, you know, it was just amazing. Just absolutely amazing. And then I began my rounds, going around and around and trying to talk to people. And in those days also we used to take a broom and we also sweep their area. In New York there was a lot of brownstones, you know, like close together. And we'd sweep and sweep and we'd do all these different things. And then I would come back for a meeting with brothers and sisters, you know. And so this went on every day. And day after day, and I still couldn't find any place to stay. So it was the 7th day, and everybody said, Tim, you fasted 7 days, take it easy, go home, just rest. And so I thought to myself, God, you know, okay, maybe I should just rest a little bit. Now, keep in mind, you know, every day when I would never come back at night. This time I was smart enough to go into that apartment building earlier so they wouldn't I get locked out. So I would sleep every night up in this stairwell. So at least I had a place to sleep, right? So I was getting weak, you know, I hadn't eaten in 7 days. And as I lay down in the bed, I thought to myself, I can't do this. There's something wrong about this picture, you know. I have to get up and I have to do something. You know, I just felt I really didn't accomplish what I wanted to do. I'm going to get up no matter what anybody says. I'm going to go to my area and I'm going to do this. You know, I'm going to continue what I usually do. So there I was. So I went to my area in the morning. I had my little broom and I said, well, you know, I've been sleeping up in the stairwell. I think I'll go up and I'll clean the apartment building, starting from the very top. So I started to clean the apartment building. Suddenly there was a lot of commotion downstairs. And I looked down there and here's this whole mob of people racing up the stairs. And they kept coming closer and closer. And there they were. They were coming for me. And they were angry. And so and this one Spanish man, he came to me and he took my broom, threw it against the wall, you know, and started screaming at me in Spanish. And I didn't have any idea what was wrong, you know, and he was just screaming, and people were shouting and yelling, and I thought, man, what's gonna happen? Then they grabbed me and they dragged me all the way down the stairs, 5 flights of stairs.
Frankenstein monster.
Yeah. And threw me out of the apartment building, you know, and then the crowd streamed out of the doors and surrounded me. They must have done that, you know, all these people, the doors open and it's falling out, there's a huge mob of people. And this man, who later learned was a super, he was yelling and screaming at me, you know. I thought, man, what am I going to do? You know, I said, well, I'll do what Father says to do. I'll just try to serve him, you know. So I'll offer him a peace offering. So I carried these candies in the back like we used to fundraise with sometime. And I offered it to him, and he took them and he slammed them on the ground and then stomped on them, you know. And then I said, well, maybe I'll attempt to like clean them around the apartment. So I grabbed my broom and I started cleaning. Took it away from me and broke my broom. So then it gets even more exciting. Here comes the police. 4 police cars converge, you know, and they jump out and they start, what in the heck is going on here, you know? So in the midst of all this chaos and confusion, there was one little Spanish man in front. He never said a word, and he grabbed me by my wrist, and he pulled me through the crowd. And he pulled me up the stairs leading into the apartment. apartments and into his own apartment. And in the meantime, the police, the people, and the super all stormed into the apartment. And there was a big shouting match between the super and this little man, later his name was Ramon. And they just yelled and screamed and yelled and screamed, and then all of a sudden, Ramon slammed his hand down on the table, but he stays here. And the super, in total exasperation, just threw up his hands and ran out of the building, and then the police looked, and they were watching us go back and forth, and they said, I don't know what the heck you did, but don't ever do it again. I said, okay, I won't. Anyway, it was crazy. And then the deeper part of the testimony. This man that, in a sense, kind of saved me, he was Spanish, he didn't speak a word of English, hardly. So he led me into the kitchen, and he sat me down and he made me a cup of tea. And so I thanked him, or tried to thank him as best I could. And then he got up and he took me into his bedroom and gave me his bed. And so that became where I stayed that first night in my home church area. And then as I was laying in bed one night, I heard something. And I looked down at the end of the bed, and that man was praying at the foot of the bed for me. So it was, when you go through something like that, it's very deeply moving, and you can understand, I feel, a certain part, the heart of God, the heart of Jesus, who walked in these kind of situations. And it changes you. And I remember I tried to teach Ramon, the divine principle. In those days we had Spanish tapes to teach the principle. But he never really got it, he didn't really understand it that well. But he understood something. And he could see and feel something, and I felt that was God working through him. And as the days wore on, and I went around to that apartment and tried to serve the apartment and the people, and through Ramon, people began to know who I really was, that I wasn't the enemy. So to backtrack just a little bit, what had happened was, and why they were so angry, because all through the week, the super was getting phone calls about some strange person lurking in the hallways. And he would get up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning every day, and for some reason, he could never find me. There was like 3 complexes that are interconnected. There was five flights up each one. And he'd go through them, he could never find me. And so he was losing sleep, and he was just so angry. By the 7th day, he just exploded, But after that experience, through the home church province, is sweeping, cleaning, people beginning to know and understand who I was and what I was doing, the doors just started to fly open. It was incredible. The super became one of my best friends. One of my best friends. And the people who were suspicious of me, that suspicion faded. There was not a day when I wouldn't go by that I wasn't invited in to have dinner with the family or something like that. But home church was an amazing, powerful, artistic experience. And I know you probably too have such have incredible experiences. This one experience was very dramatic in my life, but the power of heart sometimes doesn't need any words. People can feel who you are and what you are. And that's what everyone saw that, and God worked. And that's been the case in other times in my life, when I've been a similar experience, surrounded by an entire town who wanted to crucify me because I was selling candy in some southern town. And here comes God in the form of the sheriff of the entire town coming to my aid. really works in a powerful way in our life. And by going through this too, I could understand a little bit the heart of Jesus, the heart of people that were persecuted, the heart of the people that were misunderstood. Nothing like Pablo, but it was a powerful experience for me. And it showed me that God is very real. And even when you think God is not there, I think back, He always is there. He's always there. You may think He's nowhere around you. But like with that famous poem, you know, where is God? The footsteps, God is carrying you, and you don't even realize it. Maybe when you look back in your own life, you understand sometimes you don't think God's there with you, but He really is. So that's my testimony.
Tim? You next one. Are you giving this one?
I think so.
Okay, are you ready?
Sure.
Okay, let's welcome Ron.
Good morning, everybody. So I could give a testimony or I could tell you a funny story. What would you prefer?
Funny story.
Funny story? Okay. So funny story. So I was 24 years old. That was a long time ago, before a lot of you were born. And I was living in a house in Rhode Island, which is way up, past New York, way up in the north. I was living with a bunch of these guys, but they were a lot younger. So we were like in our 20s, living in a house, a Unification Church Center. And we were trying to witness, which means trying to get people to join the church. And it was about 9 o'clock at night. The day was over. We were finished. We had dinner. And I was sitting in the living room on the sofa. And I just started thinking about the city. The name of the city was Providence, Rhode Island. Nice name, huh? Providence, Rhode Island. So I was just thinking about how much God must love the city. And I just started loving the city. I was like, from my heart, I was just sending out love to the city. And one of the other people living with me came over to me and said, "What are you doing?" Because I looked weird. And I said, I'm just sending love out to the city. I just have this idea that if we really love the city and send out love, we wouldn't even need to witness. People would just be attracted to us if we really had that much love. And as soon as I said that, somebody came through the front door of the house. They didn't even knock. They didn't even, it just, somebody comes into the house, and it's this young woman, a girl, probably like 20 years old. And she comes over to us, "Can I help you? What are you doing here?" She says, she lived about a couple of blocks away in my home church area. I had a home church area. She lived like just a couple blocks away. And she said, "I was listening to James Taylor." He's a musician from North Carolina, actually. I was listening to his record. And while I was listening to his record, his voice spoke to me and told me to come to this house. So she left her house, came to the house, and then she just walked in the door. And of course, then we told her what we were doing and everything. I think she was frankly a little crazy. And she didn't wind up joining the church. But it like really shocked us that happened. So my question to you is, what happened? How did that happen? Any ideas? Spirit world?
God's divine inspiration to her.
You know, that's what I think too. But any other? What do you think happened? What do you think?
Random chance.
It's just a coincidence? Okay, well, let me ask you this. How many people, I'm going to ask you how many think it was a coincidence, and how many of you think it was more than a coincidence, that there was something spiritual going on? Okay, so how many of you think that there was something spiritual going on? Raise your hands. That's just about everybody. don't even need to ask the question because everybody raised their hand. That's what I think too. So I think it just shows the power of prayer, the power of love, the power of heart. Because it's really like how I try to live. If I could be a loving person and just give out that energy, people will be attracted to that. They'll kind of feel something when they meet you. Does that make sense?
Also, God encourage you.
Also, God wanted to encourage me. That could be it also. All right, well, that's my funny story. Thanks for listening.